Councilman Bodier.
Present.
Councilman Chatelain.
Present.
Councilman Hewitt.
Present.
Councilman Landry.
Present.
Councilman Murray.
Present.
Mayor Mosca.
Present.
Police Chief Dickinson.
Present.
Fire Chief St. Cyr. And City Attorney.
Present.
Okay, next, Madam Clerk, I think we have special presentations.
Motion to amend the agenda?
Motion by Landry, second by Murray. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. We'll go to the JPRD 9 and 10. Undefeated Angels East Bank Champs 2012.
Oh, you want me to call him out? Oh, let's see. Wait, go back.
Redo.
Okay, ready? Elizabeth Crochet. Pitch short.
No, it's not that painful.
Christina.
Can y'all line up right on here and face the camera?
Oh, yeah, Elizabeth, go
Yeah.
get on. Yeah, go get on film. Okay, let's see. Christina Bickham. Christina was a pitcher with 20 strikeouts. Kaylee Santangelo. And I think she had a batting average of .439. Wow. Kylie Barrier. Center fielder.
Hey, Coach, can you smile at me also, please? Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ashley Ortiz.
All right, thank you.
Alexis Landry. Brooke Macaluso. Second base. Alyssa Hellrick. Second base also.
Congratulations. They're in. Look at Daddy.
All the spunk in the world. Whitney Wood. Whitney Wood's mother played for me when I first went to state for JPRD. Carly Schnauder. Colin, right field. Always a clutch hit. Riley Shook. Her aunt played first base for me for JPRD. Summer Newmiller. Fastest one in center field. Yes, Summer. Jessica Unga. Her sister and her aunt played for me for JPRD. And last but not least, Sienna Hernandez. Jessica.
Thank you again, girls. We're blessed to have such beautiful ladies as participants in our program, and it's an asset to have their families and parents with this community. Thank you. Two-minute recess. Don't be afraid, come right up. Why don't you introduce yourself? And
Sure. Good evening. My name is Todd.
Can we close the back door?
Yeah, close the back door, please.
It's good for the kids.
Carrie, can we close the back door back there, please?
The buses out, a lot of buses.
Good evening. My name is Todd Tunion. I'm an audit director with Postal Waite and Netterville. We're a CPA firm in New Orleans and Metairie, as well as Baton Rouge, and I'm here to report to you on the results of the external audit that we performed as of and for the year ended December 31, 2011. Each of you should have a copy of the report that we issued. I'll segregate my comments this evening into two general areas. First, I'll have some comments on the overall conduct of the audit, the results of the audit, the reports that we did issue, and then lastly, or secondly, I'll have some comments on the financial statements and the numbers contained within the actual report. So first, regarding the overall conduct of the audit, there are certain required communications that we as your external auditor are required to have with the governing body or the those in governance. So I'll cover each of those bullet points briefly. First, we were engaged for the audit as of and for the year ended December 31, 2011, and we performed our audit in accordance with U.S. auditing standards as well as government auditing standards. We are pleased to report to you that that we did issue a clean audit opinion or an unqualified audit opinion, that your financial statements are materially correct and reported in accordance with U.S. GAAP and governmental reporting standards. So overall, that's good news. We had a clean audit and a clean audit opinion. In terms of the accounting policies of the city that are described within the notes to your financial statements, we are required to communicate to you if there are any new policies that the city adopted during the year under audit, or if there are any changes in policies from the prior year that would impact the comparability of the actual numbers contained and reported within the statements. So we're pleased to report that there were no changes in policies from last year to the current year. There was a new accounting policy adopted that was applicable to all governmental reporting entities that changed how we report and classify your fund balance or net asset amounts and how those restrictions are identified. So that was a change that we did during the current year's audit. But it's basically just a change in terminology from restricted, unrestricted to committed, unassigned. So that's basically what the only change in accounting policies during the year. There were no difficulties during the audit. If there were, we would be required to communicate those to you. There were no significant journal entries or material misstatements that we identified during the audit. Again, if there were, we would be required to communicate those to you. There were no disagreements that we had with management during the course of our audit procedures. We did obtain the client representation letter from the mayor at the conclusion of the audit, and we're not aware of any consultations with any other accountants or CPAs that the city may have had. Again, if we were aware of any, we would be required to make you aware of that information. Overall, just to summarize my comments on the conduct of the audit, we issued a clean audit opinion on your financial statements, as well on our report in accordance with government auditing standards. We did have a clean audit opinion as well. No current year findings or internal control related comments. And so that summarizes the overall conduct of the audit. I did have just a few general comments on the financial statements. One is on the fund financial statements, which are the set of financial statements that the city uses that are most consistent with how the city budgets its cash receipts and its cash disbursements. Shows a total fund balance for the city of all funds of approximately $1.5 million, with approximately $400,000 as the fund balance contained within your general fund. And then on the sewer fund has total net assets of approximately $2.6 million, and most of those assets are the plant and the sewer facilities contained there. And the sewer fund does have total net assets of $2.6 million at the end of the year, with an increase in net assets during the year of approximately $300,000 during the year. And that's in the sewer fund. That's primarily related to some of the grant funding received during the 2011 year, primarily the funding for the new generator, which was, I think, approximately $160,000 or $170,000. That really covers the overall comments on the conduct of the audit, as well as the numbers contained within the financial statements. I open the floor to any questions that the mayor or the council members may have for us.
Before I open it up for questions, I would like to state that this year, the room in which you and your staff was working in, we were not missing any city items this year.
Well, we try to train them to put them back in the right spot.
No ink pens?
Nothing.
So,
Questions, Councilman Landry?
Good evening, and thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
coming. We appreciate the
Glad to
work
be
you
here.
do. The, on the first page of this handout, when the deficiency in internal control exists, is that a definition, or are you saying there were some matters that need to be changed? I certainly want to, talk about it in public.
Sure.
And further on, it says it says here that there were, and then down here, it says there was not.
sure.
This is the definition of deficiency in internal control?
That's the report on internal control and over financial reporting and compliance in accordance with government auditing standards. That's a report that is required because of you being a municipality and a governmental entity. We did not have current year findings. What's in the letter is just the definition and the required language. Now, we did have,
I did see that somewhere.
if you look in that letter, we are required to report on the status of prior year findings. So during the 2010 audit, we did have a finding, and we reported on the status of that finding during the 2011 audit. And that finding was resolved during the course of the 2011 year. So it was not a repeat comment.
But I just read it, and I believe it said that there was some deficiencies in there were some places we could improve, which obviously everybody can improve.
Yeah.
And y'all were going to meet with us to try to go over those. It said it would be an engagement in the letter. I'm going to find it for you. I just had these handouts.
Oh, here it is. In our government auditing standards letter, we are required to make you aware if we did issue a management letter. And we did have a management letter which had 2 items on it, which we did review in detail with the mayor and your finance director. There are several ways that we categorize findings and recommendations, and these comments, because they were communicated as management letter comments, did not rise to the level of a significant deficiency, as you referenced in the government auditing standards letter, or a material weakness.
May you go over the sewage assets again?
Sure.
I don't want people thinking we have $2 million sitting in accounts.
No, on the sewer fund, at December 31st, the sewer fund has about,
Sewer fund, is that the money collected from taxation or grants?
the sewer fund is a separate set of accounts within the city's financial statements that tracks all of the assets, cash, receivables, accounts payable, property, equipment, plant,
It is including
facilities, correct, as well as all the cash receipts, cash disbursements, the revenues and the fees that are collected, the property taxes, as well as the repairs and maintenance expenses, and your depreciation expense. So that's the activity that's contained within the,
Just stop right there 1 second. Now, quite a few years ago, we did an audit, and Joey Risho was
Yeah.
here. And he was going over assets and stuff, and he explained to me that a building in a municipality isn't considered an asset. Now, is that different in a sewer fund?
well, the sewer fund, as an enterprise fund or proprietary fund of the city, reports its activity on the full accrual basis of accounting, which basically means the property and plant and facilities are reported on the financial statements of the sewer fund, where that's different than the city's general fund, sales tax fund, capital projects funds, which are on the modified accrual basis of accounting, which is a requirement of governmental auditing standards, and which doesn't report your facilities or equipment or capital project costs as an asset. So in your capital projects fund, if you spend money, or when you do spend money during the year, it's reported as a capital project expense. Versus when you have improvements and we purchased your generator during the 2011 year for the sewer fund, it's added in your property and equipment number. Maybe what has come up previously in terms of the net assets of the sewer fund, you have 2.6 million is the total net assets of the sewer fund, and almost the same number is your property, plant, and equipment. And where the city has historically run into a bit of an issue is the property and equipment isn't really a cash or current asset, so really can't be used to pay the
collateral or
repairs and
anything
maintenance and fund the operations of the plant. So the unrestricted net assets of the sewer fund is $11,000 at the end of December 2011.
Thank you very much. That did clear some stuff.
Councilman Shalin,
No comments.
Councilman Bodier,
No discussion.
Councilman Murray,
No discussion.
Councilman Hughes.
No discussion.
One question.
sir.
It is a fact, is it not, that this year, as in the previous 4 years, the city is to supplement its sewer plant with money from the general fund?
There are transfers from the general fund to the sewer fund.
And I guess my question is that it's probably more responsible for the city to straighten out its sewer fees to be able to pay for its sewer system, right?
There's 200,000 of, during the year under audit, 200,000 of property tax revenue that basically is allocated to the sewer fund.
But that's not enough, right? Because we're spending about 180 to 190,000 more every year to run our sewer plant.
Correct. And basically, like I had just mentioned, the sewer fund has unrestricted monies at the end of the year of $11,000.
Right.
And then during the year under audit, the sewer fund did have about 300,000 of income.
Right.
But that's primarily due to the grants received, one-time grants received during the year. And without those grants, you're looking at a break even or a deficit position.
Right, thank you. All right, anyone want to address the council, chief?
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you. You don't have to stay if you don't want. This isn't punish work for you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. I'm sure you all have all heard about the shooting they had in St. John Parish earlier this morning. I went out there this morning, met with the chief, and offered our assistance. It was a terrible tragedy and a tremendous loss to the law enforcement community in a whole. I just want to put our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of the officers involved, the St. John Sheriff's Department, and the citizens of that community. I wanted to go over the crime stats for last month, August. The number of calls we had for service was 708, 12 accidents reported. We issued 139 citations with a total of 182 charges. No funeral escorts. We did have 9 patrol requests. Number of arrests, we had 47 total arrests. Number of charges was 73. Of those charges, 7 were traffic, 11 were felony, and 40 were misdemeanor. We also had 15 city. Persons and property crimes, we had 3 residential burglaries, 1 attempted theft, 7 thefts, and 7 assaults. There's some more important dates I wanted to mention. On Friday, August 24th, we have our crime prevention meeting at the Senior Center. This month, the guest speaker is going to be Paul Johnson. Also wanted to thank Paul Johnson for sponsoring that bill for the new police car, because I heard that it got approved by the council, and I really appreciate it. I wanted to thank him for that. Also, Tuesday, October 16th, we have the Night Out Against Crime we're planning again for this year. Free food, band, and we'll have representation from the surrounding law enforcement officers. Also on Saturday, August 25th, we're going to have an auction. We're auctioning off 8 Harahan police cars, old ones, and Newell Norman's been kind enough to allow us to participate in their auction. So I just wanted to let y'all know about those dates. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to address the council, please step forward. Motion by Landry, second by Murray to close the address the council. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 nays, no nays. Madam Clerk, approval of minutes for the
Reading of the minutes of the council meeting on July 19th, 2012.
motion by Murray, second by Hewitt to dispense with the reading of the minutes. All in favor? Any opposed? 5 nays, no nays. Motion by Baudier, second by Chatelain to approve those minutes. All in favor?
Yay.
5 nays, no nays. Madam Clerk, communications?
Let's see. The Board of Adjustments and Appeals did not meet in July. And reading of the minutes of the Planning and Zoning Board,
Motion by Landry, second by Baudier to dispense with the reading of the minutes. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 nays, no nays. Motion by Murray, second by Hewitt to approve those minutes. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 nays, no nays. Madam Clerk, resolutions.
The following resolution was proposed by Councilman Murray. A resolution to auction property owned by the municipality of the City of Harahan with the procedure utilized pursuant to the provisions of LRS 334712, which provides for the sale of property by a municipality. Whereas this property is no longer needed for public purposes and the City of Harahan is authorized to sell and/or auction this inventory. And whereas this inventory has individual appraisal value of $5,000 or less. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Harahan, State of Louisiana, that the Mayor of the City of Harahan is hereby commissioned to dispose of individual vehicle property no longer needed for public purposes under the provisions of LRS 334712, which provides for the sale and/or auction of property by a municipality. The property to be auctioned is listed in Exhibit A, attached hereto and made a part hereof. The minimum price is $100 per vehicle, full payment at time of auction. Auction date is August 25th, 2012. The foregoing resolution having been submitted to a vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Madam Clerk. Second resolution.
The following resolution was offered by Councilman, what is this resolution? second resolution.
I'll take it.
System survey and compliance question?
Or you want to make that unanimous for the compliance? You want to make it unanimous?
Unanimous? Motion for unanimous, sure.
All right. Whereas the City of Harahan is required by the Legislative Auditor of the State of Louisiana to prepare a response to and submit a completed system survey and compliance questionnaire to the certified public accountants engaged to conduct the annual audit of the city for 2011. And whereas the mayor of the City of Harahan received the said questionnaire from the state legislative auditor and has obtained from the responsible city departmental directors the appropriate answers to each question contained in the survey questionnaire document. And whereas the mayor has approved the answers provided to each question contained in the survey questionnaire, and whereas the contents of the completed survey questionnaire must be approved and adopted by resolution of the City of Harahan City Council prior to submittal to the certified public accountants concerned. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Harahan, State of Louisiana, that Section 1, the responses by the City of Harahan as contained in the completed system survey and compliance questionnaire provided by the Legislative Auditor of the State of Louisiana are hereby approved to be correct to the best of our belief and knowledge, subject to those items previously noted by the Legislative Auditor and adopted for the transmittal to Postlethwaite and Netterville, the designated auditors for the city's 2011 audit. The resolution having been submitted to a vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Madam Clerk?
Alrighty.
Ordinance for public hearing. First one.
An ordinance to repeal ordinance number 1563 in its entirety and adopt by Section 1 of the International Building Code 2009 edition and various technical codes relating to building construction requirements, enforcement, and construction regulating activities of the Department of Inspection and Code Enforcement of the City of Harahan as provided in said codes and to provide for related matters.
Hey, are we gonna read this entire?
No.
Thank you.
We'll just submit it in Globo. Is there a motion to open up for public hearing?
Motion.
Motion by Murray, second by Chatelain. All in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. It's now open for a public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the council?
If anybody wishes to have a copy of this is welcome to come to City Hall.
Absolutely.
Thanks. I'm Jeff Charlet, Regulatory Director here for the city. And I'm prepared to answer any question that you all may have. I know it's kind of...
What was this for? Why do we do this?
Well, basically, the city adopted, as required by state law, adopted the International Building Code or the International Construction Codes. This became state law after Katrina, and all jurisdictions were mandated to adopt this International Building Code. At the time, the city had the Standard Building Code 1994 edition was the law here. Then the state law superseded that, and the council adopted the international codes but did not include the administrative chapter, and that's basically in accordance with state law. But for whatever reason, there wasn't an administrative chapter adopted with the new building code, so we're left with a administrative chapter for a 1994 building code and a 2009 international building code. So you can see just that basically is a problem. I took the opportunity, though, in needing to have an administrative chapter, I took the opportunity to look at the fees and some of the other important parts of the building code. And just a little history. In 1999, the Harahan City Council adopted the fees that Jefferson Parish had passed in 1998. Parish has since adopted new fees, and I think, in 2006, and so basically we're working off of some very old fees as well. So along with having an administrative chapter that's key to the new building code, took the opportunity to look at the fees, and as you might expect, a lot of things have changed since 1994 or 1998, and so the fees would reflect those changes. Obviously, there's an increase in them. Previously, you had penalties for violations of the code that had a range of monetary charges, range from $30 to $200, and it was kind of the discretion of the building official as to how much he might charge you. Now, I'm not a person that's real comfortable with that kind of discretion, so, the new administrative chapter says if a violation is going to be assessed, it's going to be $300, that's it. So there were a variety of reasons, but to highlight the main reasons is update the permit fees and filing fees, which are growing older by the day, to set specific violation fees, to provide a list. Actually, the administrative chapter we have now doesn't provide a list of those jobs that do not require a building permit. There are some, but the current administrative chapter does not have such a list. In the new ordinance, they have 10 of them. I think that we'd all agree are pretty minor in nature and wouldn't necessitate a building permit. Other things that this ordinance will do is it specifies information necessary to acquire a building permit. The old ordinance did not really. And one of the big changes in the fees is what we call an application processing fee. Jefferson in 2006 put one in their ordinance. I think the city of New Orleans has had one for a longer period of time. I put one here. It's to help us offset the mounting cost of performing these inspections. So it's just an adjustment for construction costs and the associated fees. One of the other big things that it does, also after the storm, the state allowed what is prevalent in other parts of the country. They allow for certified third-party providers to perform inspections. Obviously, we didn't have that situation prior to Hurricane Katrina, so in this ordinance, I put in rules to effectively coordinate, if we're going to accept a third-party inspection, what the rules are. You have to register, you have to do it on a form that we provide, have to give me notice that you're going to be doing it, and those kinds of things. So down the road, we may be in a situation where third-party actually by state law, we can accept them today. We may find ourselves in a position in the future of necessity of needing to do that. So I thought putting rules for how we go about doing that in would be a good idea now. So that's kind of the highlights of it. I have a history of your ordinances here. I have a copy of the Jessamine Parish fees from 1998, and this is a copy of the 94 Standard Building Code. The administrative chapter, I think, is about 20 pages long. And it doesn't include fees whatsoever. So, I mean, this is a necessary step that we have to take. And, it's long due, I would say. If there are any specific questions on any particular item, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Jeff, for doing all this work. I mean, I know it's a tremendous amount of time. I do like the way the fees are set up. They're clear, people understand them. This is going to help you do your job much better, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, This ordinance also has teeth in case we have somebody in violation. We can cite them.
Absolutely.
Law back it up and bring them to court and do the due process like we need, that I think we didn't have as enough in the other ordinance.
Much clearer than what you had before. Yes, sir.
That's all. That's fine. Thank you for working so hard on it.
I have no discussion.
Councilman Shanley?
This ordinance right here, as of right now, we have to take a third-party inspection by state law, correct?
We do. That's correct.
This ordinance is going to set up to where a third-party inspection has to come register with the state prior to being able to just come in and do an inspection.
Right, yeah, it kind of sets the ground rules up for that. I want them to register with me. I want to know in advance that they're going to be doing the inspections. And, you know, the office keeps a tremendous amount of records, which is subject to public records requests. I really wouldn't want 20 different third parties to come in with their own version of an inspection form, so I'll have a standardized form they'll get from me.
When they come in to register, you'd set that up with them
Right.
at that time.
Right.
That way it's not a confusion, like you
Right,
said.
so you know, it's a very good attempt, I think, to coordinate what may be the inevitable.
All right, and also Mr. Landry said that we'd have codes to where we could go back on someone, strict the laws, just so people understand and make sure I'm understanding correctly. This isn't gonna handle like abandoned buildings type, unless it's structural inhabited. This is not gonna control the grass and the weeds and stuff like that. That's another ordinance we talked about.
That's correct.
To come later. correct?
That's not involved in this. I am working on the second part, which will handle many of those same items.
Okay, because I mean, we're all concerned about that, and I just want to make sure everyone knows this is not going to cover that.
No,
Already works on that now.
Minimum housing standards I'm working on right now.
Correct. All right, thank you.
Councilman Murray?
Yes, I just have a couple of questions. Something it hit me when he was reading this. I have, and I'm gonna read this real quick, if we can take that, so I don't have to go back over.
Excuse me, Cindy, we can't hear you.
Yeah,
Pull
oh,
your
I'm
mic a
sorry.
little closer.
Is it there on? Okay. We have traditionally called you the Director of Regulatory, correct?
Regulatory
And that's
Director.
what you are, regulatory.
Yes, ma'am.
And this says the Department of Inspection and Code Enforcement. Basically the same thing, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so should we change the
I
Director of Regulatory to the Director of Code Enforcement? And
Yeah,
or should we put regulatory in there?
I tried to keep it consistent with regulatory department, regulatory director, but I see there were a couple places where
Right,
inspection and code enforcement stuck its head in there.
right. And in fact, that's in the first part of the ordinance that says Department of Inspection and Regulatory. We don't have a Department of Inspection and Regulatory.
No,
There
we
is
have-
no official, correct?
We have a regulatory department.
We have a
So it
regulatory
should say regulatory
department.
director?
We don't
Yeah.
have a Department of Inspection and Code Enforcement, correct?
No.
Okay, so the beginning of this ordinance is wrong. We're gonna have to rewrite that.
Can we make an amendment to it?
Well, when you
Well, I
say.
have a little bit
when-
more of
When you
this.
say it's
I'm sorry.
wrong, I mean, I totally disagree with that. You
Well,
can
I mean-
amend the ordinance at any point in time you want. You know, I say, continue.
Oh, thank you very much. What my point here on this is that I was wondering if my colleagues would be willing to defer this one more time. I don't think I have the vote to do that. So, but I am going to ask that anyway, because there are some small things in here like that that need to be corrected. And since that is the beginning of the first part of our ordinance, I think we need to straighten up some of those. They're either one of two things. Either we need to make anything that says Department of Inspection and Code Enforcement say Regulatory Department, or we're going to officially change our Department of Regulatory to Department of Inspection and Code Enforcement. Although it is a semantic thing, it's a loophole that I think if we could check and make sure that legally that we're consistent in our wording as to what it is. Because if I want to come in here and say, hey, I want the inspection and code enforcement, well, I'm the regulatory department. Well, you're not the inspector and code enforcement.
Can we just vote to amend all that?
There's a lot of
terminology
places
tonight. Can we?
Well, I apologize for those little disparities. I'd be glad to do a little word
The
search
way to
and,
address it is to say they're interchangeable.
Well, but that it isn't written in there that they're
Well, you can
interchangeable.
amend it to say it's interchangeable.
So what I was gonna ask,
Is there a motion to amend it to say it's interchangeable?
She's got the floor.
I've got the floor.
No, but I say, is there a motion?
I haven't asked for that.
I'd be agreeable to it.
All right, a motion by Landry.
No,
motion.
no, we're not doing it right now. I think that's still
I'll be
valid.
agreeable to it. Let her finish speaking, then I'll be
Yeah.
glad to.
Yeah.
Thank
What I'm trying to get at is that this is such a mega advancement for us, that we are putting in such a tremendous thing, that a little more time on taking care of these little discrepancies and things, I don't see would hurt. I am in favor of this. I have sponsored this ordinance. Director Charlotte has done a phenomenal job with this. By no means, Mayor, and I think you understand me by the wrong on this, saying I'm not out for a fight. I'm out for correction and as perfect as we can get this without rushing something. I think transparency is good. It took us many years. It took us many years to get other things done. Yes, government works in a slow fashion. I understand that. But this is a big undertaking for this city. A lot of it's written, and it hasn't been proven, but a lot of it has been proven. And I don't know if our council, if our legal counsel has had a chance to look over this and make sure all of that's right and read it in its entirety. I was speaking with him 2 days ago and today about it, and thought that that might need to be thought about, is that he may need to look at it and make sure there's no legalities that need to be addressed on it. That's why I would like to ask if there was a possibility, since our counsel isn't here tonight to answer some of those questions on his own accord, that maybe we could postpone this. We're not going to get this perfect, I understand it, but I think that there's enough discrepancies in here, and Jeff and I have talked about this in the past, that there are some, and nothing's absolutely perfect. It doesn't happen.
But if we can fix them tonight
Let me ask you
and get a
this,
lot of them done, I mean,
So-
it's been 18 months. I mean, we
Well,
need
it's
these
not
laws.
just that it's
We
been
need 'em.
18 months, with all due respect, I'm the person that's making all the decisions right now. Am I correct, Mr.
On what?
Jeff? On how to interpret the people that are coming in. And I'm the one that's making the decisions, what to charge them. And I don't want to do it anymore. It's
I
not
thought
fair
we-
to the people.
I thought we were working off the last,
1994.
okay, but I thought we were still working off of that one. Is that correct?
There are
Isn't
certain
that what's
things in
legally required?
1994 that were changed that we have nothing to cover but my mind. What we're doing right now is we're going by what I
That's
say
scary
is
thought.
it. It is. That's
a
what I'm
scary
saying.
thought.
Let's put this in place and let's change it. If, we've been trying to do it for 18 months now. I don't know.
No, we haven't had this in front of us for 18 months.
Well, I know.
3 or 4
He
months,
maybe
but
has
we've
been working
it.
on it for a while
We've
since
talked
he
about
came
changing
in.
this for quite
But
some
it
time.
hasn't been in front of us for 18 months.
been-
Do
Clarify
you know how many
that.
times it's been deferred now?
Twice.
You guys, with all due respect, I mean, to say that things take so long, we've been discussing this ordinance since November or December.
I agree with you.
And I agree that if there's some terminology that needs to be edited and amended, but if it's minor because it's semantics, we need to move forward so we can appropriately support our regulatory department.
I don't think it's been December or November. It's been
it
this
was.
year.
Jeff sat with us for
first day he
for
sat.
2
I had this
hours.
my first go round.
Yeah, he reviewed with us, each of us,
Yeah,
one-on-one for 2
I
hours.
agree with you.
My, how time flies when
Councilman
you're having
Hewitt, I
fun.
agree with you.
Yes, it is.
We're going to be changing this ordinance for years to
Just
come.
like we do
Let's go.
I mean, they're
1333.
gonna be-
I
we're gonna-
understand
we're gonna-
that.
Next
I
year,
understand that.
something's going to come up and they're going to say, when you try to apply it, it doesn't
Right.
work very
It does
well, we're
work.
going to amend it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, the
And I-
wording, we can amend the wording tonight.
Well, and that's something we may need to do tonight, is take care of that wording. I have one more problem that I'd like to discuss, and I'm not sure what it is, and whether this is right or wrong, is that, and I had talked to Jeff about this, that I thought that we had to get rid of our chapter 1 in it, or our administrative chapter in its entirety with one ordinance, clean it off, say it's gone, repeal that, and then take the second ordinance, which is this one, and adopt it. And I believe our clerk had tried to call the department, LMA, which is our gopher, to go to for everything, and you weren't able to get in touch with him, is that correct?
Well, the guy, John Gallagher, I wasn't able to get in touch with him until next week. I talked to Don Najoka just about the heading of the ordinance, and he said that the heading, he said it sounds great as long as it summarizes what's written in the ordinance.
Okay, and he has no problem with it repealing 1563 in its entirety and adopting it, adopted by section 1?
Right, I read him the entire heading, and he said he said everything sounds
Okay.
fine, and
All
as
right.
long as it.
Well, if he says it and he spoke with you, I didn't think you had gotten anybody today.
Yeah,
Must have come after we spoke.
Don Najoka, yeah, not the guy Gallagher, that's who they wanted me to speak with,
Yeah.
but I talked to,
Okay.
Because Cindy, what you're basically saying is not to repeal the entire ordinance, just to amend to add the administrative part?
Right.
Is that what I hear you saying?
Right.
No, I thought you said you'd have to have an ordinance to
Well,
completely
yeah,
get rid of
and you
the
have
other
to
one,
get rid of-
1994 one, and then have a completely other one to put this one in?
You have to, if the old one has all of the if the 1563 has the administrative chapter in it, and that's all it has. But if 1563 has more than the administrative chapter, then we would have to not repeal that whole ordinance. We would just have to just re-adopt a part of it.
But isn't this in its entirety? This ordinance covers
Exactly.
everything.
No, it's chapter 1, because this isn't everything. We're working on, if you look at it, we start with section 14, am I right?
1563 was the ordinance that the council passed to adopt the international codes.
Code of,
I had the ordinance here. And what it does specifically say is accept Chapter 1 administration.
right.
So my thought was we could simply amend ordinance 1563 by the addition of an administrative
Right.
Chapter 1.
So if we repeal 1563, which is the whole thing, then we're getting rid of anything that's in there that we need.
Well,
Whereas this starts with section, I'm
Act-
just trying to make sure that we're doing the right thing. that
actually,
we're not-
you can almost do it any way you want, because I did, again, name the 2009 international codes that are state law in this ordinance. So you could do it any way you want, really. I mean, you could simply
Well, we
amend
can
this
do it, but what's
ordinance.
the right way is where I'm at.
You could simply amend this ordinance by adding an administrative chapter, I think
Right.
would be a
Mr.
proper
Charlotte,
way to do it.
Mr. Charlotte, hasn't this council, since 1994, adopted almost on a yearly basis the building codes?
No. He hasn't been here since 1990.
I'm sorry?
Is it your recollection that the city of Harahan, every time, in order for us to operate on a yearly basis, we have to adopt the International Building Code?
Absolutely, I mean, that's mandated, right.
Right,
But
and
only
we've
when
done
it comes out.
Yeah, whenever it comes out, we adopt it.
Right.
Right.
What, every 2 years or 3 years?
Right, whenever the Louisiana Uniform Construction
Right.
Code Council says that the next edition is this,
Right.
that's when it's state law.
We
And
ever
right
did it
now,
18
we're
years?
working on, and
We
right
did it
now.
18 years?
Yeah.
No, mandated by state law to adopt the International Building Code as of January 2006.
I understand.
All
Right.
And subsequent editions as ordered by State Uniform Construction Code Council. Right now, it's 2009. It'll probably be 2012 in about another 2 years, probably.
Yeah, they work in the rears.
They actually
constantly,
have like 3
It's always in the
years.
rear, yeah. 2 to 3
They have
years
2 or 3
behind.
years from publication to say it's good.
Right. And they do amendments in that, though, don't they?
Oh, they
And
do.
They constantly do amendments, so they wait
by
2 to
piece.
3 years to rewrite the whole thing. But I'm just worried that, it's not clean. That in the past, we have gotten rid of, remember how we've had to do it in succession? Councilman Landry's been on the council when we did this.
When we
that
wrote
had-
1333, it took us years. and
No,
we
I'm
changed
talking
it
about.
monthly.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about when we would get rid of something and then stick something in.
I honestly couldn't tell you how.
I think the
But
logical
if we have
thing to
LMA's
do,
opinion and we
Right.
need the law, we need it in process
oh,
so
yes,
we
this
can
is
run our
needed.
city. I mean, it's time.
I think it's logical
this.
to vote on this tonight and then amend it any way you want in the future.
We can amend the wording tonight.
Well, I do think we need to make a difference in the Department of Code and, Department of Inspection and Code Enforcement versus we have our Department of Regulatory.
Make a motion
And the-
how you want it to work.
and
Yeah,
the
that's simple.
That is something that needs to be corrected.
I
That
may
is
have,
a-
I may have already done that. I was looking through my copy here, and I may have you just one behind the curve. I may have not done that word search and got it out. It was a little confusing to me, too. The truck I inherited says code enforcement on it
Right.
and not regulatory, so,
And understandably so, you come to Jefferson Parish where they had code enforcement.
Yeah.
Harahan has a Department of
Yeah.
Regulatory.
Yeah,
You
and-
understand what they're saying with the wording?
Yeah.
and hopefully, to give an extra measure of confidence, the 2006 amendments administrative chapter that Jefferson Parish still uses today, I wrote that. And so it was a fairly simple matter to take that and make it appropriate for the city. And in fact, I'd like to say even improved on it. So, this represents 30-plus years of experience in doing this work, and I think that you'd be well-served in adopting it.
Mayor, is there a possibility that we could change our director from, and I don't know how that would be done, even if we adopted this tonight, to make our city of Harahan be a inspection and code enforcement? Because it is a compromise of a lot of things, that word, those two words, and compromise so much more than just regulatory.
I'm trying to remember, we voted a few months ago on the department.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't have that ordinance in front of me,
Regulatory.
but I don't remember what we called that person.
Can we come back next month and have a one that changes that department head to a new name? If that in case, because I mean, it's throughout this entire system, and that seems to be the general verbiage that most all departments, or excuse me, most all parishes, cities, whatever, use these days. Kenner uses that same verbiage. Jefferson Parish uses it, and so forth. I
can
think
write
we're
an
more a little
ordinance.
behind the times with
You can write an ordinance
regulatory.
to change it.
So
I
you
think,
want to consider, you want to call them regulatory director and code enforcement?
No, take
Just
out the
code
word,
enforcement.
inspection code enforcement. Am I right, Director, is that's what's the terminology
They're
they use for that?
called everything from safety and permits to code enforcement to
Choice
regulatory.
words, too.
Yeah. In proper quarters, that's what they're called. They're probably called, Lawrence is probably right, they're called other things in other places.
This is
there's-
the PG.
But if the question is that a standardized unit name? I don't think so. I mean, they call safety and permits in New Orleans, inspection, code enforcement in Jefferson, and
Kenner and,
call something totally different in Baton Rouge. It escapes me for the moment.
Leave out like we got it.
well, then we need to change this.
Make a motion, I'll
Put
second.
an
And
amendment.
if that's the case, we need.
But that would be a very simple task to standardize. I'm actually thinking I did it, and maybe the copy you have is one word search behind on this thing, but
All right.
I'd be happy to take and standardize to regulatory. I think you're actually adopted as a regulatory department.
Yes,
That's what I-
yes.
And-
Director of
I don't have it in
Regulatory.
front of me, but that's what sticks in my mind.
Yeah,
Can I make a motion that we have, if it's adopted and passed tonight, that every word that says inspection and code enforcement be changed to regulatory department and the word regulatory department and director. They have code official in there, that needs to be changed to regulatory official.
No, I think you should leave that code official.
Why don't you
Code,
just make them interchangeable?
Pardon me?
Make them interchangeable.
Sure. Well, I think that's actually what it does do.
That's the
I think it
easiest
actually
way.
does do that.
Put an amendment to have it interchangeable.
You have to have it like that because in the text of the international codes, the person in charge of that function is called the code official.
Code official.
So we have to have code official in the administrative chapter, and I think I do have it.
You have code official in
I
there.
do have it where it's interchangeable. The person in charge of that department is also known as code official, also
Okay,
referred to as a
is that in
code
a definition
official.
file or someplace? Because we want to make sure that that is in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I know everything can be challenged, but if those wordings aren't perfect in there, can that be challenged by another attorney if we go to trial? I mean, I don't.
Anything.
Does it have to be changed? Is what I'm trying to say. Is it going to affect the legality of it?
I don't think it affects the legality of it, but if you want it interchangeable, it's a simple amendment.
You can amend it right now.
Yeah.
So what you're saying then is that you want it to be interchangeable, the word
No,
regulatory
I think the
department
director
and-
of regulatory, also referred to as the code official, is important, because in the text of the codes, that person in charge of administering and enforcing the code is referred to as a code official.
Right, and that's
That's the wording for
anybody.
the amendment,
That's
right?
not
Yeah,
just you,
and-
that's anybody, though, whoever is underneath you,
That's
correct?
the wording for the amendment, what he just said.
Right, it's in here.
It works.
Just throughout the ordinance, put that as and/or, both terms as a slash, so it covers the
I'm a hand 'em out.
universal and it covers us.
I'm a,
Do you know where you can find it real quick, that we can just add it in the definition? And amend it like that, that way it would be?
Interchangeable doesn't work? Can we put that down in there?
That's what I'm saying, where can he find it real quick to put that in the definition?
It have to be in the definition, it have to be in the wording of
Right
it.
here.
You have to write it someplace.
Code
It'd be in
inspection,
the-
code
in the-
enforcement.
Then it's in the amendment, it's not in the
But
code
you're
itself.
You're changing everywhere in the ordinance that it's being done. I mean, where it's done, right? You don't have to make another section almost entirely for that.
No, but you,
Like a C under a B, that they would be
Yeah.
interchangeable.
if I might,
shouldn't-
it says the regulatory department and the director thereof shall be responsible for the administration and enforcement of provisions of this chapter.
which number are you reading?
This is 14-5 on page 7. The department director shall be an International Code Council certified building official, properly registered to Louisiana State Uniform Construction Code, or as permitted by 1730-23, be a third-party provider so certified and registered. Person charged with the management, and there is that one, Department of Code, so it's a person charged with the management of the regulatory department, hereinafter referred to as the department, shall be the director, hereinafter also referred to as code official. So,
Okay, well, we also need to put in there hereafter for, and put in there those words right there that you have, that the regulatory department or the Department of Code Inspection may be used interchangeably.
That's your motion.
Counsel,
I'll second it.
would that be right?
Motion by Murray, second by Landry to amend, to include that wordage. All in favor?
That verbiage
Yes.
for, in section 5,
Any
14-5?
opposed? 5 yeas, no nays.
Dash
Madam
one,
Clerk,
dash two.
You got that verbiage down?
And that's going to be in 14-5?
yes, ma'am.
Jeff, you're gonna have to make that correction too.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mayor. And the ordinance for approval was introduced by Councilman Murray, who seconded.
We haven't even got to that yet.
We're not doing that yet? We didn't get to that yet? Hewitt?
Yeah, just so long as it says that's in there, so everything is above board in some sort of cohesive.
Yes.
We're gonna have to go
Yes.
through the whole code book.
Yeah. Guys, now you know why I wanted to defer it another month.
It don't took 10 minutes, we got it.
Yeah, right, okay. We went through 70 pages in 10 minutes or whatever it is.
You might have did. I've been looking at it since January.
So have I. That's why I want to defer it, because it still has problems. But anyway, so anyway, that was my point on that, those 2 points. I had one more. On the third-party administrator, will we require that third-party administrator to have a business permit here, or have a, like anybody else would have a business? Will we also make them to show their,
Where's that in the ordinance?
uh,
Where's that in the ordinance?
I'm asking him, so I don't
There's no
know.
third-party
You would be
administrator in the
like-
ordinance.
Yes,
If we have
yes,
a-
it is, there's
yeah.
third-party administrator in the ordinance.
Third-party providers,
Provider,
third-party providers.
provider, I used the wrong word. You
Well,
know
no,
what
no,
I'm
that's all right. If you're talking about a third-party provider who
Yeah,
might do
well-
inspections here,
Right.
they're treated by the state just like a contractor. Occupational license where
That's
their
what I'm looking
business is
for.
domiciled. Yeah, occupational license where they're domiciled.
Right.
And,
Not for Harahan though, right?
no, it doesn't have to be
Chatelaine
here.
Electric is in Metairie, he doesn't have to
No.
occupation permit
No.
here too.
No, of course not.
No, you have to.
And my next question is,
Correct.
do
Yeah,
they have insurance? I mean, do we have to make sure that they provide us with insurance? Would
the
we-
state does that.
The state does
enforces
that,
all of
okay.
Absolutely.
They
And
have
then what,
to be
ab-
registered with the state.
They have to be
prior.
registered, that's all in here. They have to be registered with the state, and to be registered with the state, they have to be insured, they have to be certified. And so, if they're registered with the state and it's valid, all that's good to go.
and what about holding the city whole harmless for that if they make any errors and omissions? That we're not
Their
liable for their
insurance.
errors and omissions?
That'll be in their registration.
That's absolutely.
I mean,
They are
and that'll be-
responsible.
And that's in their registration that you're gonna have for us? That you'll be making that form for us, that they
the-
will have their,
Suggesting put a hold harmless in your form.
Yeah, the state law.
in our form.
The only thing that I would do along those lines is the completion certificate. We may add to it. They didn't do it in Jefferson. I was going to do it, didn't do it, but I can certainly do that here. Just put a little note at the bottom of the completion certificate that says that this completion certificate is based in part or in whole on third-party inspections. And I mean, we can go behind third-party inspectors if, we think there's a problem. I mean, state law says I have to accept their inspections.
Excuse me, prior to adopting this, if Southeast Inspection from St. Charles Parish comes in and brings you an inspection certificate, by state, you have to accept
Yeah,
that.
that's correct.
If we adopt this code right here, you have in here to where we don't have to, they have to register with the city prior to
Right.
you accepting that.
And let me know what
And
they're
then
doing.
you can do that
Let me
background
know what
check.
they're doing. Come get the inspection form from me.
Correct.
I mean, it just, it kind of sets out the ground rules that are
Well,
on it,
and that's
really.
what I wanted to make sure is that.
Oh,
we're-
yeah.
And that we're not held liable for the third party omitting
that's-
something.
that's
that
ingrained.
was crucial to the inspection and to the beginning of the,
Yeah,
say,
that's in-
building code of
That's
that.
ingrained in state law when they allowed it.
Okay.
That's
Because I
covered.
don't want the city liable for something if they went in and said that the slab is 12 inches and it was supposed to be 18 inches, and it was actually only 10 inches, and we approved the third party, and then we have FEMA coming back at us saying, wait a minute, this wasn't done and that wasn't done through the third
No, I
party,
can-
through those things, and next thing you know, we are no longer able to get.
No,
FEMA.
in matters of floodplain management, your certified floodplain manager is going to, right, is going to do that stuff. We don't take that. There is no third-party
But I'm talking
provider
about
that is a
building.
floodplain manager.
Okay, but I'm not talking about a floodplain manager. I'm talking about if an inspector comes in, it's a third-party inspector that comes in, and they approve something that is wrong, it's a gross negligence on their part, say, and I'm using this for an example, the wrong elevation of a floor, and FEMA comes in, I don't know, they pull that one out the hat or whatever, and, all of a sudden this is wrong, and they say, well, you've done this one, I'm going to check others, and maybe others have been wrong, and we don't get our insurance. What I'm trying to make sure is that we will not be held liably responsible for that.
We're not going to accept any third party's approval of any FEMA certificates. We don't have to.
Not what
and
I'm asking. though.
I don't
You
understand.
miss-
I don't
you miss
understand what
I'm
you're
going
asking
for.
me.
Third party, the guy builds a wall falls down and hurts somebody badly. The city is not going to get sued if he gets to hold harmless, right? Is that what you're saying? Because
Yes, basically, whatever
If
it
you bring
is.
FEMA into it, it's a whole different.
Well,
thing.
it is a whole different thing with
Yeah, I
FEMA,
mean,
but that
the
is
wall
a
falls
very.
down and it hits somebody
But
and hurts
FEMA's a
them
very important
because he
part of
approved the
this,
wall.
especially because we have to go by FEMA laws and standards now because of when we're building things, because that is an important part of our building code now, is what FEMA tells us has
But
to
a
be
third party
done.
provider is not going to do anything with FEMA related. That's
No.
what he just said.
Right, that's correct. There is no third
Elevation.
party.
Prior to this, the plans still have to go to plan review.
Yes.
Which is you.
Yes.
And the inspector's gonna force that it's to the plan, the standards of the plan. If an architect draws a building and the building's gonna fall down,
I guess y'all are
He's gonna
kind of
have to
missing my
review.
point. Maybe I'm not explaining it properly.
Well, let me just say this too, it might allay some concern. I don't envision, let me rephrase that. It's likely that if I get third-party inspections from building inspectors, the way this is set up in this ordinance, you have certain stage of inspections that have to be made at certain points during the construction. And the building inspector is always last. He's the last inspection before you pour the slab. He's the last before you close the walls. He's the last before you're finished, for a variety of reasons. I intend on doing all the building inspections. So I will be coming after all these potential third parties anyway. So we have a degree of oversight just naturally. If I should happen to get a third-party building inspection, I'll accept it, but chances are that's one I'll check.
Why would we get a third-party building inspector? Who would, somebody would demand they bring their own inspector in? They can't keep us from going too.
What if Mr. Jeff's sick? We need to provide an inspector. We can't provide, I mean, we don't have enough inspectors to shuffle them around.
And now they have to be certified through
Now
the
they have to
state
be
in the first
certified
place
through
by
the
everything.
state. So
So
if
it's
someone's
going to be
sick,
inevitable,
you know, we have
something's going to
part-time
happen.
inspectors. If one's sick, we need to provide an inspector.
Well, this is the future then, 'cause,
possible.
I mean, Mr. Charlet's saying that he would go over the plans too. So this is an event, this is put in an event you're not
And
here.
it's not like.
Oh, yeah, that's, well,
Okay.
I was counting myself in, but yeah, that possibility exists too.
Well, you couldn't third-party inspect and do us at the same time. There'd be
So
a
if
conflict
you
of
had a
interest.
place in a job and you here, a third-party inspector's not coming. If
Not-
you're working it out,
Third-party building inspector, no. No, I don't think so.
it's if you were sick or whatever, you move on, whatever
Our
happens.
electrical inspector, our plumbing inspector means older
Mechanical.
guys that aren't too good at shit, you know.
That's where I envision the need. I was
That's what I'm envisioning.
trying to exclude myself from that health issue, but we're all people, you know?
You never know, you never know.
You never know.
It's just these kind of things that I think that we need to make sure that those are clear, so forth. And, you know, the other thing on a building inspector too, you have a national building code, but then we also have some of our own rules and regulations.
When those third-party providers register with me, I intend on giving them a copy of this ordinance. And so,
Right.
you know the rules.
Jeff, you recently, did you recently attend a flood map
I did.
meeting in Jefferson Parish?
I did.
And Mr. Ferreira, sir, also, I thought they are going to reclassify us in a new zone, which is going to take FEMA out of the equation.
Well, Mayor, if I could, on August the 6th, we were invited to attend a meeting that was put on by FEMA, Region 6. It's the region we fall in, for the purpose of releasing preliminary flood maps. And these flood maps were for a 6-parish area. Of course, the city of Harahan is included. The preliminary maps that they gave us are just that. They aren't officially released yet, even as preliminary maps, but they're kind of giving us an advanced look. But the preliminary maps will officially be released in the next 60 to 90 days is what I understood. And then there'll be a 90-day public comment period, and then there's some other things they have to do. But the fantastic news, if it all stays that way, is that much of the city that is today on the 1995 flood insurance rating map that is in the special flood hazard area, which mandates federal flood insurance, will not be any longer. So much of the city will be out of the special flood hazard area and in the X zone, and will be a dramatic.
And these people can decline insurance if they want.
They won't be required to have it if they have any kind of federal finance
It'll
loan.
drop the rate.
Drop the rate.
It'll drop the
Probably won't
rates
decline.
tremendously.
So if we get flooded and we don't have to have this flood insurance, FEMA will still come in and help us, because now with FEMA, you know, if you don't have the insurance, you don't
Yeah.
you get nothing.
Yeah, well, you're in the special flood, you're not in the special flood hazard area. I'm a certified floodplain manager, and that one's over my head. I don't, that's federal government politics, now you're talking.
Your flood insurance could drop from 1,700 to 350.
380.
But I think,
Yeah, my flood insurance is
Cool.
ridiculous.
yeah, but the
Cool.
immediate good news is that's gonna be dramatically lower.
What do you want me to do here? Put it back there?
That's it.
Jeff, I have
And you know,
I have one quick question for you
Sure.
outside of this.
Sure.
I had someone come ask me about it the other day. The people that come into our city to cut grass, are they registered with the city in any kind of way? And if so, can we maybe start looking into having them register with the city? Because once they come in here and they start collecting money from the city and they're doing business here, so now they have nexus to our city.
Yeah.
And two things: one, we'd like to see and know who they are, and two, why shouldn't the city get something if they're inside of our city limits doing business? I mean, it's been a
It's a good question. It's a good question.
There's a
I'll talk
lot
to
of
you
grass
some more
cutters
about
coming
it.
on my street.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so you'll know who's in and out.
And then we know who's coming in and who's coming out, and by that, they have to have a magnetic sign and some kind of
Yeah, you
certification
have,
outside of their trailer.
in these regulations, I have electrical contractors and plumbing contractors identify themselves on their service vehicles and post a job. And the whole purpose of that is so you know who's on first. Never been asked that question before, but we could still look into it. I mean, you have rules right now in your Harahan law about, door-to-door solicitation.
Right.
Purpose of that is know who they are and what they selling.
Correct.
So I guess we could look at something like, I'd be glad to look at it,
Sweet.
for sure,
Thank you.
for sure.
Just a quick question, with all of this that we're discussing, we're putting these administrative requirements in, that we now have an administrative chapter once this eventually goes into effect. You're in here. Who's out and about checking on all of these? Yes, we have rules in place, yes, we have this. Who,
I'm in here and I'm out there.
okay, you can't be in two places, it gets.
I'm like Santa Claus.
We
Yeah.
collect these
I'm
fees-
everywhere.
We collect these fees, maybe we get somebody else.
Well, and this is, and which is bringing me up to this point,
You-
is that, and we discussed this already, that with him, is that, we have these rules now, they're great rules, how are we enforcing them? Do we have a code inspection department that enforces them? We got one man and one secretary. They can't be out on the street and doing the inside work all at the same time. It just doesn't work. You're exhausted.
Well, I think we have 5 council people that ride the streets every day. We have a mayor that rides the streets. We have Carla Ferrara that works for the city that rides the streets.
We have a
I mean,
whole bunch of concerned citizens.
And we're doing a
Yeah,
dang-
lots of those.
Yeah, we're doing a dang good job of that.
and we're not
But,
paying anybody.
but we're missing a whole lot more. And I think that at some point, we may need to look at in the future for budget, is that department may need a helper. And possibly with the fees going up, it may happen.
Help?
Yeah.
I can always
I agree with you.
You know,
always use that.
Because let's face it, rules are great, but if they can't be enforced, or if there's nobody out there knowing that's done, and the people or the public is not aware of these changes and so forth, and here they are doing something that they shouldn't do, and nobody calls them to their attention, we're losing money as a city. Plus,
Yeah.
that's one thing, but the most important thing is the health, safety, and welfare of the people, and that they're doing what they need to do for their own health, safety, and welfare in their own home.
There's no question that anybody can always do a better job, more resources, better coverage. It's not something that I really crow about in here, but there are lots of things in here that are fairly innocuous looking that actually help in what you're talking about. The idea about making sure that service vehicles are marked, jobs are marked, making sure that a placard is shown. And the old deal where, well, I thought the contractor was getting the placard, and I thought the owner had it. And so I've addressed that in here too. No owner can let work go on until they see that placard up, and so that excuse goes away. And so there are lots of things in here, call them silent, whatever you want to, but there are lots of things in here that recognize
I know.
we can use all the help we can get. And so, to the best of my ability, those things are in here. And of course, we can always use more. Maybe with the fees going up, construction looks like it's starting to come back. Hopefully that's a trend that continues. We could use that. The next part of this, I was asked, it appears that the city does, and Cindy, you and I have talked about that International Property Maintenance Code and
Which is the
and,
next
and the
thing I wanna
need
work on.
and the need to consolidate or make comprehensive your rules. You have a lot of little
Right.
rules scattered around. I discovered this week in just poking around that I'm working on some minimum housing standards to promote the health and general welfare of the city. That's going to be in the next ordinance. I understood that maybe there was something that I missed that was in place already, but turns out it wasn't passed. So it was, 6, 7 pages about blighted, but it wasn't passed. There is some state law that we can probably use on blighted, and I see the legislature passed something last year where you report to the state fire marshal the blighted house, the fire marshal can come say, yeah, it's blighted. Now, it doesn't seem like much, but you can use it in a court. The fire marshal says it's
We've
blighted.
got, what, 8 or 9 right now that we need to do that too?
So,
And
yeah.
We've got people that are moving out of the city because they're tired of living next to one another.
Yeah.
And you know that where
It's a
they are.
challenge.
You know
It's
where
a
they are.
challenge,
And so, but anyway,
Of all different economic and health circumstances, that affects all of that.
I'm going to ask, and I'm going to make a motion if I get a second, if I don't anyway. Because of all these reasons and some of this in here, I would ask that we would defer it 1 more month. That's all I'm asking. Do I have a second?
I thought we were voting on the amendment.
We already did that.
I don't think
We didn't vote
the
on it?
amendment.
Oh, it's sitting out
we
there?
did.
All right, well then I'll put that back. Mayor?
Okay, all in favor of the amendment? Any
Yay.
opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. We have a new motion by Murray to defer the ordinance.
I've never had discussion. But I have to say, we need to vote that I go before her next month. Can we vote on that tonight?
I'll make a motion. Cindy goes last.
I need to go before Cindy, at least for the next
Hey.
6 months.
No.
She offered
This-
it. She was supposed to go last.
I really was.
She was supposed to go.
Lord.
Didn't ask
Okay.
her. Didn't ask her.
So I support the ordinance.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to say, Jeff, you've done an excellent job.
Thank
on
you.
Writing it, your time, your effort, your expertise. I don't know if people actually realize what an asset you are to our city with your years of experience.
Thank you.
Your education, your certificates, everything that goes behind your name. So I mean, you wrote the Jefferson Parish Code. So we appreciate your effort and your expertise. Thank you so much. And I support the ordinance fully. If this supports our code enforcement department to enforce the laws and the rules of our city and brings in revenue into our city, how can we not support it? Thanks.
Does all that.
All right, you have a motion by Murray to defer.
I'm going to rescind it because I don't have the votes.
All right. Well, any further discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Any opposed? Not for the ordinance, yeah.
For the
I
ordinance.
didn't know who made the motion. Okay. Who made the motion to approve it? You make it, then does someone have to make a motion to approve the ordinance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm keeping on as the author. I'm making the
you're gonna
motion.
make it,
I would
okay.
ask that we defer it, but I cannot get
Motion by Murray,
that,
second
so
by
I'm going to go ahead and
Landry.
vote with
All
it.
in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, old business?
Old business, well, there's no ordinances for introduction. And old business sewer user charges.
All right, sewer user charges. The last ordinance that the city approved was 2003.
Jeff, thank you.
And the city has not taken advantage of that ordinance, which provided for an increase on our water bill. So there's been no increase since 2003. If we were to have increased every year according to the ordinance, it would have brought in about $37 per household per year.
It's about 5,000 households.
Right now, to make up for the 190,000 to 180, 190,000 that the city supplements to the sewer department from other budgets, we would have to raise it to $87.55 a year. Now, I gave you all a copy of an ordinance that Kenner has utilized, which was recently approved by them, after much legal research, of course, they have the ability to pay a lot of money because their budgets are so much bigger. But that particular ordinance calls for an increase as time goes on, 2013, 2014, 2015, et cetera, and it has a formula for that increase. I wanted the council to look at that ordinance. I don't think the city can go much longer without some sort of increase just to pay for the services that people are getting from the sewer department. We're not asking for a profit, we're just asking to maintain what we spend. Right now, the sewer usage fee on my particular bill is $31.62. That's every 2 months.
How much of that do we get? Is that all ours?
Yeah, so you gets all that.
How does that compare to the parish, Vinny? Have you looked at that?
I'm sorry?
How does that compare to the parish?
I don't know what the parish is.
Parish is sewer.
Anybody live in a parish?
No, I know.
We can look at that, though.
Well, maybe Dana might look, she always.
I don't know what the parish is,
What you want?
but what does the parish?
Yes, the
I don't know.
parish, sewer village.
Councilman, you usually looks all those numbers up. I thought you might have it over there.
Look and see if
I know it's gonna be more than that, but I just would.
Internet access.
Not here. But I like that ordinance where it increases automatically, man.
Right. So
You know,
I think
politics are funny. Nobody wants to raise fees, but
I would recommend that we look at that kind of ordinance and consider
let's raise.
consider the language that's in there for our sewer department. Any other discussion at this time, Councilman Hewitt?
Mayor, will you just confirm this minimum per month, $5.25? So $5.25 times 12 is like $63 per household. So we have 3,500 households.
Right.
And that comes to like 250,000 or 220,000. And that's what we're currently taking in?
Right.
Yes. And then we have to subsidize how much?
About 180,000.
divided by approximately
It's
5,000
been 10 years
households.
since it's been
Yeah.
increased.
No,
10.
4,000.
4,000 households?
What a gal
So
looked
divided by
at, you know, it's
4,000
not-
households, what is that together?
I mean, so
Jesus.
we're actually, we possibly might want to change it from the $5.25 to $9 or $10, just to cover our fee,
Right,
right?
right.
That is automatically with the automatic increases works as well. I mean, for the initial, you mean the initial
I didn't
raise?
see that. Y'all have the automatic increase?
That's Kenna's ordinance.
That's
That's
Kenna's
what
copy
We don't
in
have
here?
it on
We
there.
don't have it, we don't have it copied in here there to look at, do we?
I gave you all one.
God, we got a copy.
Do
You
we
can't
have
put it in
a
our
copy?
box,
I
not
don't
for
have it.
I
tonight.
had
No, I
it in
didn't.
the box
You sent that to me yesterday or today by email?
last week.
No, it wasn't a copy of that.
Of the whole, because I
And the
could pull
I
it.
read through it, I got an email.
They
Some of an
increase
email.
based on water usage, on the consumption?
I haven't gone in depth
Annual.
with it, I just read
Annual.
the base of it, and I like the idea.
Yeah.
I think it's annual.
They do it at volume rate in use,
Okay, on usage.
right?
So therefore, more people move into the city, we have more usage, the fee goes up.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
It's something like rolling the millages forward, you know? Property value goes up, you pay a little bit more. It's just, but nobody wants to pay a little more, and I understand that. I don't want to pay a little bit more either, but you think people get mad when the water gets in their street? That's all it back up.
The problem is you're taking $190,000. Taking $190,000 out of our general fund that we could be doing other repairs with.
Right.
Lord, we need a
That's all
lot of
my
other
discussion
repairs.
is.
All right, any, Councilman Murray?
No, I have no discussion on it right now. I'd like to get some further. Mayor, if you could get some figures out to us, I know you just spat some off. I've seen you have some doodling that you've worked on. I mean, if we could get a little bit more accurate figures, when we could have them written down like in a spreadsheet, in an Excel spreadsheet that could come out to us to let us know what we're looking at, exactly what our deficit is, what it would be per household. I mean, approximately 4,000 households, and, you know, what we're looking at per right now, so that we can give this out to our constituents, or at least put it out there so we know exactly what we're looking at.
Okay.
I would appreciate that, please.
All right, Councilman Boudier, Councilman Chandler?
I'm in favor of raising this millage. to
Well, we're
help-
not raising millage, user fee.
User fee, I'm in favor of the user fee, raising the user fee, just to accommodate what we have. If people don't understand how poor a condition the place is and how much it takes, and the extra $200 a year, you know, by the time you roll it over, it adds up. So it would save us to make other repairs throughout the city.
Councilman Landry?
I'm anxious to look at it further. I'd like to ask Madam Clerk if you could possibly find out the numbers I need to call, or if you could find out the surrounding areas fee, the charge on water.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe
Well, I have that note
Kenner,
here.
Gradden, Westwego, Jefferson Parish, get an idea what the other people get charged.
See where we
Just back- email
are.
the numbers, I'll be glad to do the
And if you can
calls.
put that on that spreadsheet, what we're looking at and what the averages are of the others, what their fees are, how they go, just so that we can have all of that information so we can be a little bit better informed.
Okey-doke.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have the recycling contract. I wrote a letter to President Young indicating that the City Council voted to institute curbside recycling for the citizens of Harahan. The service will cost $2.20 per household per month,
Not 226 like
for a
the,
total of $26.40 per year. And I've asked that the fee be placed on the water bill at the rate of $4.40 each other month per household. So that would be 6 payments of $4.40 for a total of $26.40 a year. Additionally, I wanted to reiterate that we attempted to piggyback on the Jefferson Parish contract, but the contract that this company had with Jefferson Parish does not allow any other municipality to piggyback on to their contract for the simple reason that they allocated 4 trucks to Jefferson Parish to do the recycling. In order to piggyback on, they would have to add a new truck. So there's no way to cover the expenses of that new truck for the company. We're getting a new truck, but we're paying for it. We're paying $220 per month per household. And
Thank you.
we did entertain 2 other companies, but this was the lowest price of the 3 companies. Yeah, Madam Clerk, new business.
2012, 2013, the GAP application.
Okay, we have the rural grant, which is $50,000 a year, and it has to be filled out by September 15th. So I'm looking for suggestions. What do we want to ask for our $50,000? You want to do something to playgrounds, some
Mayor?
stewards, some streets?
traditionally, what have we used with that?
Mostly playground.
Mostly playgrounds?
Right,
And this is the $50,000 grant?
right.
We did a walking track with that grant last one time.
Walking track, little kid stuff.
Basically, it's for community, for services
We
for the
built
entire
that,
community.
yeah, we built that building.
Oh, yeah.
Mayor,
That
Mayor, I
Royland
know
Park, Royland Park could use
a
a
lot
nice
of
space.
parents have
for the
asked,
grant.
Yeah, the process of
the play area that we have that's so nice at the playground, a lot of times in the hot summer heat, the handlebars and the bars used to get up on the stairs and the slide are getting very, very hot.
Yeah,
There's
Yeah.
these tarps,
right.
and I know the smaller ones, I think, are about 10,000. I don't know if the larger ones are 20, but the tarp, like maybe you see at Disney World and wherever, it'll
Yeah.
cover the play area so that it's not so hot, and then people could sit with their children and you're not getting sunburned, protect you from the sun and so forth. So a few people have asked about that, and
Right.
I know the company, because we just purchased some for Two-Line Hospital for Children. So I could get you a quote. We could
Yeah,
look
let's
at.
do that.
Good idea.
So Mayor, this is for anything, again, this is for anything that we try to use this that is a, for
Almost
the
any
city,
project will
for-
work to improve the economic conditions of the area.
Just got one other suggestion, Mayor. They were asking about putting outdoor basketball courts at the playground, and because they can't get no gym time during basketball season. They were also talking about maybe having some modular nets and basketball backboards to where they can move them in and out, to where it doesn't have to go to a base, but maybe one that just slides in a pole, so they can try to get some kind of time on the courts, and then I think we can police it a little bit better being at the gym.
That might be too. You could bring leagues in and make some money with the gym too.
And we can put a top over it.
We
put a
can
tarp
spend the
if you'd
50
like.
grand, there's no doubt about that.
Rain or shine.
Is there anything that we have to absolutely work on for tonight? I know that the
No, just,
September 14th.
I want your suggestions in as soon as
Right.
possible.
I mean, maybe if any of the people that are watching tonight may have something that they're thinking that would be globally for the citizens as a whole, it may be something that we haven't thought about, that they may have thought about that might be worthwhile. If they
Clean
want
up-
to call it
Clean up the
suggestions.
rain part.
And just call into the city and say, hey, I have this suggestion. You know, maybe it may be something we haven't thought about that would be very good.
I don't know how much they cost. I don't know how we could utilize it mostly for Harahan residents, but certain other cities and the recreation departments, they have things that they do with water. They come out the ground.
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the
Players,
the
the kids
little
with water.
water areas. Yeah.
We need more than 50 grand.
In a lot of communities, that's everybody's starting to, be more green and friendly. They have a bike lane on side their highways. They even have them in New Orleans on the way to bring my kid to school. I don't know if you need a state's opinion to do that, the length in the shoulder. That'd be really nice.
Promotes health too. You see a lot of folks ride their bike up Jefferson Highway and on Colonial Club Drive, running.
Yeah, I mean, you just make the lane for them.
Okay, Madam Clerk, new business?
I'm not gonna say that out loud, but yes.
Permission to sell beer and wine at the annual St. Rita Pecan Festival Bingo on Friday, October 5th, 2012, from 5 p.m. until 11 p.m.
Can we do all these three at once, maybe?
Sure. In Globo. The beer, the block,
The beer and wine, permission to sell beer and wine at St. Rita Pecan Festival on Friday, November 9th through Sunday, November 11th, 2012, from 6 p.m. until 11 p.m. on Friday, 12 p.m. until 12 a.m. on Saturday, and 12 p.m. until 10 p.m. on Sunday. And permission to block Berg Street from Imperial Woods Drive to Ravan Avenue during the hours of operation for the St. Rita Pecan Festival, Friday, November 9th through Sunday, November 11th, 2012.
Motion.
all in favor?
Yeah.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays.
Who was second?
I'll second it.
Sounds good.
Vote yea.
Mayor, can I ask that we amend the agenda so I can just talk about a couple of things?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Motion by
Do we need-
Hughes, second by Monique, all in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Go ahead.
Councilman Hewitt, you want to go first before? No, I'm teasing. Just a couple of things I wanted to talk about real quickly or ask if we can, because we're becoming in the digital age, and I do believe we're going to have the wherewithal and means to scan a lot of things, and we have some of that already. I was wondering if there was a possibility in somebody's spare time, if we could get some of the administration to work on scanning all of our ordinances, starting from our ordinance 1, and just put it in a digital form. They scan it, it goes into a folder, and it can be from time to time worked on, that there would be an indexing system, ordinance 1 that has, the beginning of our city, ordinance 2 that says that they created the government or something. And I know that those are the first couple of ordinances.
What do you mean by work?
All of our computers, all of our data.
Well,
What we
I know the
offline?
municipal ordinances are that way, but no, we don't back up all our data that way. Like taxes, we don't back that up, do we?
I think it backs up every day.
Is it?
Back up every day.
Taxes?
It backs up every day. Everything should be backed up, every bit of your
everything on the
data.
computers, yeah.
Are we offline? Are we backing up offline? Are we just switching out passports or
I
something?
think it automatically backs up every day.
Two different areas our computer people, Digicom, they have a separate backup that is running their system, and then we have the backup here.
Okay, and one of them goes into the, every other night, like one of them get switched out, where one of them goes into our, and onto our vault or something, so that if we did, we could just back up for the previous day? Okay, so we are having it offline, okay, or off, I shouldn't say offline, off-site backed up. I used the wrong terminology.
I was confused by
I'm sorry. Off-site backup. Off-site. And one more thing, when was the last time we had our code books updated? Don't we do that every 2 or 3 years?
Well, we have to by ordinance.
Do we know when the last time that one was done? Anybody
I
got the
think it
code?
was 09.
09? Okay, so this is 12.
it
We've
was
done a
09.
lot of different things, especially with having our, with the adoption of this Chapter 21 into that code thing. We may want to see about getting it updated soon, say towards the end of this year.
I guess we can find out whether the charges.
Yeah, well, I know it's expensive.
There's like 10.
I know it's expensive, but since we've adopted this, and we've adopted a couple of other things that are kind of massive, I was thinking that maybe we need to see about getting that updated.
Maybe for next year.
Yeah, like for, at the end of this year, get it started for next year.
Let's go.
Let's see what the charges.
Yeah, and that was one of the two things that I wanted to ask to bring up, just if we could look into those two things. So thank you.
Madam Clerk, where are we?
Address the council, yeah.
What?
Address the council. Address the council.
Anybody want to address the council? Yes, sir.
It'll be real quick. My name is Mike Amedio Jr. I live at 93 Berkeley. I know that we have a big problem with coyotes, but another problem that happened to me recently, and I'd like to share my experience, is that my dog was poisoned, but from store-bought treats. Yeah, so what happened was, and it was routine. We always buy the same ones, replenish them every month. They weren't old. They come from a reputable pet store locally in Elmwood. But what happened was I came home in the morning from working a night shift, and I noticed the dog was very sick. It made a mess everywhere. I'll spare you the details. But first thing in the morning, we went ahead and dropped her off at Abity Vet to see what's going on. And I can't thank Abity enough for all the help and the constant calling back and all that stuff. They ran a couple of quick tests, and within a few minutes they told us your dog is having kidney failure, and it's not looking good, And she's well and fine, now, but it was really scary because she stayed in the vet for 2 days. And what we had learned from this experience, my fiance went ahead and Googled everything online, and what wound up happening was we found out that a lot of dog treats that are sold are made in China, just like everything else. But if you buy something made in the USA, it's FDA approved. And according to some of the research online, we found out that according to the FDA, chicken jerky pet treats from China have sickened nearly 1,000 dogs in recent months. They've logged over 900 reports of illnesses and deaths from vets and concerned pet owners. I'll stop from listing, I guess, some of the name brands because I'd hate to do that to them. The main thing I could say is make sure you check on the back and that it's, made in the USA, because then it's FDA approved and somebody's checking it out. You know that you're not just. And these are very popular treats that we gave her, and we never had a problem with them before. So I've got some more handouts if anybody else would like some of the information. And so just keep an eye on things. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike, I just bought one of these.
You throwing it away as soon as you get home, right, Councilman?
Yes, I just bought one of these brands 3 days ago.
And I'll tell you this too. We went back to the pet store and we approached the manager and told them that what happened, and the vet told us exactly what the issue was. And at first, that manager told us that's just a rumor, it's just on the internet. But then later in the conversation says, oh yes, well the FDA has come through and inspected and all this stuff. And so if it's just a rumor, why is the FDA getting involved? So it's hard to. I know everybody loves their pet. You know what I mean? So just take the 5 seconds, check the back label, and it'll say on there somewhere where it's made. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council? Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mike.
Secretary's report for July 2012, the revenues were $344,084.95.
What's next?
Reports.
Reports. Councilman Hewitt?
I just wanted to say, Councilman Bodier talks a lot about Harahan Elementary, and my kindergartner started there this week. And I have to give kudos to the principal, the office staff, all the teachers. The school was impeccably spotless. The staff were awesome, very informative. And I'm so excited about him going there. And so I just want to say that we have this gem of a school in our city, and you know, if you should look at it to send your children there, because it was a wonderful experience in the registration process and his first day of school. And just kudos to Harahan Elementary.
Councilman Murray?
Yes, thank you. Congratulations to the girls tonight. That's an awesome feat for them, undefeated. Congratulations to them, to the Harahan Recreation Department, and also their coaches for doing such a fine job. These girls are a fine example of the children that we have coming up in our city, and I think that they should be well recommended for that. Also, on a personal note, and I very rarely have ever done this, but even though it's my first one, but I just got my second grandson, and mommy and daddy and baby are doing fine. So I have two additions to my family. In fact, they'll be a year apart, both my grandsons. So I'm very, very excited about that. And no, I'm not that old. I don't want to be called grandma either. Of course, now that I said that, I have somebody down at the other end that's going to make sure he does that.
Add it to my report right here. You don't
Yeah. But anyway, school's back in. The kids are back in, so watch the school zones. We have several school zones in the city of Harahan, so please be careful with that. And have a great evening. Thank you.
Councilman Bodier?
We've been doing really amazing with the wrestling event that we've been having out at the gym. We've had two already. First one was sold out, second one was almost sold out, but we'll be having another one on September the 21st, and it'll be at 6:30. Come out and meet all of the wrestlers, and the event will start at 7. And it just brings a lot, I think, to our community, brings people into our community that may spend money before they actually drive out of the city. And it's just been a fun, great thing, and come out and support it. Again, it's September 21st at 6:30. And don't forget, school is back in, and yes, Councilman, Harahan Elementary is awesome. I mean, I chose that school over putting my kids in private school. So, you know, I'm a big fan.
It has to be good. I graduated from there.
There you go.
Councilman Bodier?
There you go.
Do they teach speech or something? Public speaking?
No
Teach
reports.
that?
Councilman
They
Landry?
must have. They did.
Yes, I have a
She was
couple.
in the
I'm
speech
great
club.
at
Be
it.
quick, though.
No, they
First,
didn't. It was
Man, I'd
in
like
high
to know,
school.
and I think Councilman Bodier has his copy. Who do we thank for these wonderful maps we had? Can you hold that up, Councilman Bodier? I mean, these things are really nice. You know, the history of Harahan. Where do we get them at? Are they, what's that all?
We got some at City Hall. How many we got left? I don't know.
I
But
think all the people who purchase sponsors, I believe they have them in all of their locations.
Yeah, I mean, it's all out vendors. Everybody has business in the city. It has the history of Harahan, which I always thought was ironic. The president of the railroad got killed by getting hit by a train, which I thought was. And has never stepped foot in Harahan. Anyway, thank you whoever put that in my box. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to remind everybody about the car show one more time, September 29th at St. Rita parking lot. If you have a car you want to put in, just want to attend, contact Tommy. Now, if you want to attend, you have to contact Tommy. If you want to put a car in, contact Tommy Flick, 628-1992. Congratulations, certainly, to the girls' baseball undefeated team. And congratulations, Granny, for your new grandchild. I know I saw it on Facebook. But on a more serious note, guys, my heart and almost my soul goes out to these two officers that got killed today. It's just unbelievable in a small town like LaPlace. You know, you kind of get around New Orleans, you almost get numb to it. But when it happens in small towns like that, it just really hits the heart. I mean, these guys, one guy had 5 children. Talking about a 2-year-old almost gonna make 28 next week. It's such a useless and senseless killing. I just cannot believe these guys are not going home to dinner with their families. They're just a bunch of scumbags that decided to shoot up some guns. Our prayers go out to it, and I know Police Chief Mac Dickinson went out there. That's why he left the meeting to go see one of the gentlemen in the hospital. And we're supporting him that way. That's it. Thank y'all.
I want to thank Councilman Paul Johnson. He was able to bring to Harahan $110,000 for street repair, which we should get soon, as well as one new police vehicle, which is so badly needed by our police department that he was able to bring to us for about $26,000 of parish money. Also, I really want to congratulate Mac Dickinson for the job he's doing for the city. It's kind of easy to sit back and be chief of police of a small city because there's not a lot of crime that's committed here. But at the same time, what the chief has done is gone back and looked at cases that were closed because they couldn't figure out or didn't have enough evidence to prove who may have committed the crime. He most recently discovered 2 of such cases, which probably will be in the media shortly, that were closed as a result of inability to develop the evidence necessary to prosecute somebody. And so I think he should be commended for going back at these, they call them cold cases, taking these cases and trying to make something to at least help the families of the people who suffered because of the crimes that were committed. Also, please feel free to call City Hall at any time to talk to any of the councilmen or myself. We are readily available to talk to you in connection with any issues that you may have. I'm available at my house, which is 738-3994. Feel free to call me at any time to discuss anything. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Pay the bills. The council paid the bills in July 2012 in the amount of $468,976.93.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
July.
Did we
Anything else?
paid them already, or are we paying, or we voting to pay them?
Well,
just paid.
Yeah, paid.
Anyway, motion to adjourn.
Paid.
Motion by Bodier. Second by Murray. All in favor? Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays.
No, man, I just...